Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to UT Daily. And yeah, it's taken me a while to get through. I think there's been a problem with my internet. But yeah, just like the title says, I want to talk about, and it's obviously a slow time in football. We've got flipping internationals and all this stuff, and really we're looking for. We can't wait for the Premier League to come back. But we've got literally a little bit of a chance to talk about one of our signings that's gone a little bit under the radar. Obviously, he's not going to join until January, and that's Ahmad Diallo. I know that when we was first linked with him, it was Traore, but as we've been told, it's not that at all. But there's been some training. Some training ground videos and pictures from him training at Atalanta. Now, I'm not somebody who gets gassed about players or whatever. At the end of the day, all we've seen him on is YouTube. All we've seen him in is the clips that you'll probably see from him in the under-18s, and you've seen his goal that he scored for Atalanta. But I had to do a video on this because, to me, if you've got a good eye for football, you can kind of potentially, I don't want to go too far ahead, but there's potentially something special in this young kid. If you watch some of the videos, you'll probably be able to see on some of them on on the MEN, or you'll be able to see it on YouTube anyway. And literally, this guy, he's just literally ripping past like 2-3 players. Looks like a great finisher. And I know that he's just a training, but I think when we was actually linked with him, and when you do actually look back on when we was linked with him, the first thing that you obviously do when it's one of those sort of players is just check the YouTube like normal. And you don't want to be caught out by YouTube. You can get caught out by YouTube and then realise that the player isn't what you expect him to be. So I'm always very sceptical when it comes to that. But then you could kind of see with someone like Daniel James, you can kind of see with Palestri what they can like bring to a team. But I would never, anytime that I saw them, I never saw anything like special. With Diallo, there's something that I see that's pretty special. There's a special confidence. There's the way that he beats a player looks effortless. And I know that in the title I said about Messi, but this is one of his actual teammates, one of the defenders. And he says when we play against him, it's like playing against Messi. So this is people talking from within. Now, someone will then ask me, why has he not been playing for Atalanta? I'm not entirely sure, but my guess would be, if you're looking to plan the future without a player who's leaving in January, why would you continue to play him knowing that he's going to leave in January? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And he's still young, so I don't think he's going to be frustrating to the Manchester United starting lineup. But with all the criticism that we give to the board and we give to the scouting, Brexit FC, all we've been doing is chasing English talent or British talent and overpaying for them. I'm starting to think that we might have a special talent on our hands, and I don't like to use the word special unless I truly mean it. That there's something there that I see that, if coached the right way, and that doesn't mean it's like, say, Jack Grealish or whatever. You coach him the right way just to give him defensive discipline, but don't try to coach too much out of his game. But there is something there. There is definitely something there. If you watch some of the clips as well, very cool with his finishing. And it was just the way that he was making some of these, first teams. I had to look at it twice. And at first I thought that it was an under 18 training. And then when I looked close and then I read what the headline's saying, it was just literally, it was first team football. And I know it's only training. I know that there's going to be loads of people. You're getting gassed over a player. He hasn't even played first team football. And, you're going off YouTube clips. But I'm just putting myself out there and I'm just saying, listen, when I look at YouTube, there's certain things that I pick up on certain YouTube. So when I see like Palestri, I can see that he's quick. I can see that he likes to beat a player, but I can also see like a lot of flaws in him that's going to take a while to iron out. If they do get ironed out, he could just be literally someone that might be one of those players that might go out on loan, might not be as good as we think he actually is. Well, again, when I come back to Diallo, there's definitely something there. And I was talking to someone a couple of days ago when we was just talking about we was actually talking about Jack Grealish, and we were saying, you know, United are going to struggle to even try to buy him now, because they was talking about Barcelona, Real Madrid, and teams like that going in for him. But my argument was okay, and he was a Villa fan as well, of course. I'm a Jack Grealish fan, but I'm like, have we not been watching some of the headlines, like when it comes to Barcelona? This team, I mean, it's come out today as well that they're going to have a wage cap. This team struggled to put the money together to get Depay. This team was struggling to offload Dembele. This team's got, I think, £200 million players, and this team's trying to keep hold of Messi. And they're going to have to either way pay Messi 30 million. So I'm not too sure if they're in the question. Like when I was talking to my mate who's a Villa fan, he was talking about 100 million. I think people are confused, like when it comes to, you know, teams just throwing 100 million. And same again with Real Madrid. They're paying for a new stadium. And to be quite honest with you, my argument was when they brought Gareth Bale, when they brought Eden Hazard, they're at the peak of the powers. Like, it seemed as though like Gareth Bale had completed the Premier League. Do you know, like when sometimes when players just become that good for a league, that was Gareth Bale. And he was half the same with Eden Hazard. And that's when they buy them. They don't just buy Jack Grealish unless he has an unbelievable Euros. They don't just buy him. But anyway, going back to what I was saying. So yeah, with Diallo, my argument was Manchester United can still come back in for Grealish. And then he was kind of like, you know, well, you couldn't even afford Jadon Sancho, blah, 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 blah. My argument was this. It was like, well, we bid, I think it was around about 90 million or whatever. But even so, even if we didn't, you've got to understand, because the next argument was you've only brought Cavani. But I was kind of like, well, you forget that we spent 40 million on Van der Beek. And the other one that I mentioned was Diallo. I was like, well, for this player that no one's really talking about, we've just literally, because it was to help with his work permit, that to pay the extra meant that it was help push through his work permit. Literally, we've just paid 30 million for a player that not one of us could act like that we knew about. I heard about him, but I didn't know about him until I started to do a little bit more research on him. And he kind of understood then when I explained it like that, because it's quite easy to, when he was talking about Jack Grealish, he was like, well, Man United have missed the boat. Man City will come in, and Barcelona will come in, and Real Madrid will come in. It's going to be 100 million. And I'm like, but who's finding this 100 million? I think that we're still living in this cuckoo land that everyone's just going to be throwing 100 million for this player, 100 million for that player. It's not going to happen. But Diallo's a good example of this could potentially save us millions. If he's the player that I can potentially see there. Do you know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that you take your eyes off someone like Sancho, but I'm talking about, like, when you have somebody like Diallo, this is somebody that is literally only 18. So he's got years ahead of him to develop and become like something pretty special. And I also think about Barcelona player who's just injured. His name just got out of my head. We was linked with him anyway for around about 150 million. His name just gone completely out of my head. I think 4 letters in there. What is it now? It's going to really bug me. Leave that in the comments as well. I forget his name. Fatty. Yeah, so, you know, with a player like that, when you watch him and you're watching for Spain, you can see that there's something special, and you could see it when you hear about him. So I'd heard about Fatty and Fatty, I don't know what it is. But literally, I went, checked on YouTube, and it was just like, you can sometimes see something a little bit more in certain players. Do you know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. Obviously, you can get egg thrown on your head with some of the players. Obviously, you can get a little bit gassed on some of the players that aren't quite the players. I mean, we signed Bebe, and I was looking at some of the old footage from like some homeless tournament, thinking, you know, there's something there. Sir Alex Ferguson knows what he's doing. And in reality, I wouldn't say special anyway, but like, you try to find something good a lot of the times. And in reality, I don't know what Bebe's doing with himself now. Hopefully he's not homeless or whatever. If he's homeless or whatever in this country, at least you got Marcus Rashford around. But literally, I don't even know what Bebe is doing. Do you know what I mean? So yes, you can get egg thrown on your head and stuff like that. But there is definitely something there where, when I see Fatty for Barcelona, I can see something in this Traore. So, if you actually go onto, say, YouTube and you go back and actually have a look at some of the highlights, I know it's only under 18, however, against Man City. Apparently, this was the game that made us buy him. So, yeah, I mean, it's a slow week when we talk about football, because of the international break. But when we think about it, this is actually a huge signing. We're talking about 30 million for an unknown. There's got to be something there. And thinking about the criticism that a lot of our that the scouts get and stuff like that, I'm really interested to see how this one develops. Granted, I don't think we got the managers to get the best out of him or whatever, but I think he's one of those sort of players where I use Grealish as an example because I'm not going to call him a maverick, but I don't think you coach what Grealish does. I don't think he'll listen to you on how to attack in any way. Like, do you know what I mean? When to release the ball, when to keep it. He won't be listening to anybody. It's just the way that he plays. And I can see that in Diallo as well. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys have seen of Diallo. I want to know if there's anything more that I might need to know. I know that he's made, I think it's one senior appearance or whatever. But it is quite interesting. The January transfer window's opening, but he is due to come in January, and I'm pretty excited to see like what sort of talent we've got. I've got a funny feeling that Pellistri, he's played a couple of under 23 games. I've got a funny feeling that Diallo's going to go straight into the first team. I think that like there's something special right there. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you think I'm getting a little bit gassed? Do you think it's because of the international break and I'm like literally going a little bit insane and I'm seeing things that aren't there and it's only a training session? Or have you seen what I've seen and can you see that there's something special? There's a proper baller in there that Manchester United fans should be getting excited about. Okay, guys, so I'm on to the next one. Smash a like and subscribe, and I'm on to the next one.